How to develop a communication plan. Okay, now we will be covering some of the topics over here. Okay, and the topic is we need to know firstly what a communication plan is. Okay, unless you understand what the communication plan is, you would not be able to implement it, right? Secondly, why do we need a communication plan? Okay, and then we will go forward to types of communication plans and so on. Okay, so to start with, what is a communication plan? Okay, communication plays an integral role in keeping a project on task. Correct. Now, the project manager is charged with guiding all aspects of the project, including the communication plan. The specifics of communication, including the method and frequency, vary depending on the project's needs. Okay, so you need to understand the purpose of the project communication plan helps the manager to realize the plan's goals, right? So a communication plan in project management is a policy-driven approach to providing the stakeholders or the audience with information about a project. The plan formally defines who should be given specific information, when that information should be delivered, and what communication channels will be used to deliver the information. Okay. Now, an effective communications management plan anticipates what information will need to be communicated to specific audience segments. Okay, the plan should also address who has the authority to communicate confidential or sensitive information and how information should be disseminated. Okay, for example, through email, all right, through websites, maybe printed reports and or presentations, right? Now, finally, the plan should define what communication channels stakeholders should use to provide feedback and how communication documentation will be archived as a part of the project records. Okay, now in some organizations, the communications management plan may also include a glossary of common project terminology that will be used within the project. This glossary may define and include samples of templates, reports, and forms that the project manager will use to communicate information. Okay. Now, regular communication with all stakeholders about new or major events helps reduce the uncertainty about the changes. Engage all stakeholders at the appropriate level of participation, that is, in planning, in implementing, and identifying opportunities for improvement. In small behavioral health clinics or centers, it may seem like an overkill to develop a communication plan. However, too often, key pieces of information get lost in the daily scramble of seeing clients, paying bills, and maintaining the existing IT infrastructure. When you develop a written plan and make sure you check off completed tasks, you reduce the risk of miscommunication. By creating and following a plan, you can be sure that every member of the organization has appropriate awareness, interest, knowledge, and engagement in the project. The major theme of the communication plan is what? That is change. To put some more light on it, as soon as the need for change arises, okay, you should begin to build awareness, right? As the vision for the change unfolds, creating desire for the change or outcome helps turn uncertainty into interest, Okay, now generally nobody is happy with the change. Okay, changes are something that invites a positive and a negative response. Okay, so you need to plan a change. You can't just introduce it, at the spur of a moment, because that invites most of the time a negative impact. Okay, so which is why you need to plan it out. That is how it works. Okay, so throughout the planning process, stakeholders need to become more knowledgeable about the change in order to make decisions. Okay, during implementation, stakeholders need to understand the change as it is happening and promote celebrating the change. Okay, if you don't celebrate, you'll probably not be able to move it ahead. Okay, communication does not end with implementation, since implementation is only the end of the beginning. Okay, the road to meaningful and effective use is a continuous one, and success will require regular and consistent communication. Have you or your friend ever received a memo and felt that the sender really wasn't thinking about what you needed to know or hear? Maybe you have attended corporate presentations that have simply left you cold, right? Or perhaps you have even delivered communications yourself and realized in retrospect that you really hadn't got the measure of your audience and their needs. Had this happened ever? Yeah? This is at best frustrating. Isn't that the word? At worst, it is such a huge turn-off that it can have a negative impact or even produce an effect that is the exact opposite of the one you had intended. Correct? Whether you need to communicate general day-to-day information or big news about major changes in your organization, the best communications start with some good planning. Okay, people and organizations communicate with others for a variety of reasons: to inform, persuade, prevent misunderstandings, present a point of view, and or reduce barriers. Now, communications happens when the message you send is received. Okay, it is understood and it is acted upon by your intended audience. Okay, because that is what you want to do. So when you are communicating something, okay, it should be received the way you want people to receive it. Okay, it should be understood clearly the way you understand it. Okay, and you are obviously delivering your communication to an audience that you intend to be working with. So it has to be that way. Okay, it has to be acted upon, it has to be worked upon. Correct? Now, communications planning is simply a process that will help you reach your goal. The communications plan has been described in actually a number of ways. Okay, it could be including a foundation on which to base decisions and create ideas, right? A means of focusing on where you want to be and what needs to be done to get there. A tool for discovering opportunities, optimizing challenges, and initiating change, and a means of monitoring your communications efforts. A communications plan is actually all of the ones that I just said. Okay, plus there is a lot more to it. But communications planning is not a mysterious art. It is not something that people possess it internally. No. Okay, what is it? Well, it is basically a straightforward, step by step process that will help you clearly and logically summarize what you want to say to your intended audience and map out how you will deliver that message. Keep in mind, the same logical process used to launch a new consumer product on a national basis can also be used to inform parents about a bake sale to raise funds for their child's school trip.